Hey, I'm Redbeard and I'm back. Uh, Today we got a project here. It's a Will It Run? It's a 26-inch electric start craftsman snowblower. It's about 10 years old, maybe 8. I don't, something like that. Story behind it goes is my ex-wife's, or not my ex-wife, my wife's ex-boyfriend had it, and I've been with my wife for 6, 7 years now, and she was with him a couple of years before that, so I'd say somewhere between 8 and 10 years old. He bought it new, maybe used it one, maybe two, couple times, and shoved it up underneath the deck there. And when they broke up, he left it behind, and it's been kicking around ever since. I always used my old boss's plow to clear the driveway, so we never needed it. And we just recently bought a house, which you'll see my garage is kind of tight right now because we've been renovating the house and I haven't got a chance to deal with the garage, but that's besides the point. And so anyway, it's been sitting around all these years, and we're gonna see if this old puppy will fire up and run. I have no clue what's going on with it yet, and we're just gonna go through the basics and see what happens. Craftsman 26-inch. See, it's got the electric start down here, push button, and you still got the pull start like normal. And see what it's got for oil here. Yeah, kind of scummy, but it's there. Oh. I already took the liberty of draining the gas tank because I did pop the cover on that and it smelled like turpentine, so I decided it was a good idea to empty that ahead of time so I'm not gagging. And of course you got the auger control, speed, your drive lever, and you got your joystick here, back and forth, side to side. There we go, maybe. There we go. Forward and backwards for up and down. But we'll get the camera up on the tripod there and see if we can't start going through the basics and see what she looks like. First off, we get the old spark plug, and we'll see what that looks like here. Or actually, yeah, we'll see what that looks like. And good thing to keep in mind with these things is you want to run high test in them. I don't remember if it's the ethanol or whatever, but you always want to run high test in these things. They run a lot better, a lot smoother, and don't tend to stall out or any of that fun stuff. We'll pop the spark plug right out of this real quick. Check that out. Feel free to leave a comment down bottom if you know why it is you gotta run high test in these things, because like I say, I know I've always been told that. I just don't remember off the top of my head what the reason was, if it was something to do with the ethanol or something like that. But either way, got the spark plug there. The camera will focus in on it. There we go. Doesn't look horrible. It's kind of dry looking, but it doesn't look like it's burned out or anything like that, or like the ceramic in there is cracked or anything. Just looks like it's been sitting around for a while. So next thing we'll do, it's always good to do on these electric start models, just make sure nothing's jammed up, like the starter's jammed open or anything like that. We'll hit the electric start, see if it turns over. But to save some time while we're doing that, get the spark plug in here. Closer, good enough. Or save some time here while we're doing that. We'll fire that spark plug off at the same time, see if it throws spark. Plug this whole deal in here. There we go. Maybe a little touch there, see if it does much. There we go. See how that does. Looks like she's throwing plenty of flame. So, pop that extension back off there. And get that spark plug back in, and we'll continue from here. I did take the liberty of removing a few things ahead of time just because I want easier access and I have to edit the video 16 million times, so I removed the heat shield off the exhaust here, which is this here, which is no real big deal. It just covers it up just so you don't get burned. And I also removed the, see, flip that around there, yeah. Removed the control panel for the choke and key and throttle adjustment and all that stuff to get it out of the way. So I had a bad feeling we were going to have to play with the carburetor and stuff like that, so I took care of that. So that's out of the way, and now, as I say, I'll get this up onto the tripod there, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here we are, and come around the other side of the blower there to the carburetor side, and knowing that the gas was turpentine in it pretty much, I'm gonna pull it apart here and see what the jet in the inside of the carburetor looks like, and empty out the carb and all that. And I already took the liberty of taking the tire off because I see it had a little corrosion on the bolt here, was pretty well corroded, and down inside the hub was pretty well corroded too. So I took the bolt out and tapped it a few times with a size ball peen there, and it wasn't going anywhere. And like I say, I didn't want to edit the video 100 times, so I took the liberty of doing that off camera, so the wheel and tire will pop right off of it. And a buddy of mine suggested I need to have a beer in my hand for my video after watching the last one, so I figured this is tonight's flavor. And I mean, can't go wrong with a beer in the hand. Even if this thing don't run, at least I get to drink something. So we'll get this thing up onto a jack stand. It is a Harbor Freight. I think it's a recall model. Fortunately, the snowblower doesn't weigh much, so hopefully it doesn't fall. This thing right twisted up sideways here. this wheel off here again. It's only on here just a little bit so I can wiggle it off, hopefully. There she is. Alright, let's move this a little bit closer. Get this where I want it here. Okay, so this right here will be the bottom side of the carburetor and the drain plug and everything. And you undo this bolt and this whole tub will come right off. Then you'll have access to the inside of it. So all I'll do is I'll drop this back down a little bit and I will use a pair of vice grips to take and choke off the fuel line. So there is a little bit of fuel in there. I just wanted to put some fresh stuff with some fuel system cleaner in it just to get into the tank, make sure there was no gum in there or anything else and whatnot, and then I may or may not drain it, I'm not sure yet. All depends on what the stuff that comes out of here looks like. And so I'll drop this back down onto the axle, and the first thing you'll see me do is take a pair of needle nose and pinch the line off, and then I will pop that bolt out the bottom side and drain it into a plastic container, and then I'll go from there. All right, now it's reaching up. Adjust that so I don't break the line. Try that, make sure it don't leak there. Push this forward and knock it right back down onto the axle there a little bit. Just give me the angle I'm going to need for the fuel to drain out. I believe this is a 13. Get a catch pan here ready. Military way. If you ain't got one of these things are pretty cool with the double-ended flex head ratchets. Got 3/8 on one end, 1/4 inch on the other, and I don't remember how long it is, but handy little deal. Later video I'll show you how handy it comes taking suspension out of cars with coilovers. Amazing how tight an area these things really do fit. So we got fuel coming out. You see there's a little gummed up inside there, so try pulling that apart a little bit and see what it offers. Yeah, we'll clean that with a wire brush afterwards. Oh, here we are, day 2, working on this carburetor fix here. And so far, I let the carburetor jet plug there soak in carb cleaner overnight, and yeah, I'm gonna give everything a quick clean and put it all back together, and we'll see what happens. So what I did to see that the inside the carburetor was clean. So I took a wire brush, and it's not on there anymore, but I cut a bristle off in there, or a couple bristles, and wound them up, stuck them in the end of my vice grip, spray as I could, but as tight as I could, and went right up the center of this tube here. There's a plug in there with a hole, and I just stuck it in there a couple times, just make sure it would clear and that there was no plugs in there or anything, so hopefully that should be good to go. And we'll wire brush back here. Give the tub here a little quick spray. Scrub here, make sure everything's clean on the surface. Yeah, it's mostly clean anyway. Close enough for what we're looking for. Towel here. Nothing that'll hurt anything in there anyway. Most of it's just stained and stuck to the inside there from all that residual crap from the bad gas sitting in there. But that'll work for the time being. At least find out if this thing runs anyway. So there. And this is a 176 jet in this thing. Marked on the back of the screw here, you'll have a 176 for the jet. Quick internal scrub there, if I get some of these bristles in there. A little more squirt there, just to make sure it's clean. Quite a bit of green residual crap in the bottom, like what emptied out of that tank there, that cup. Make sure that's nice and clean. Looks like she's doing okay. There's a hole in the side of here where the gas feeds through it. We'll get that real quick. Clean in there too as well. Make sure everything's all cleaned right up and looking good here. That looks good to me. Final spray down. Take care of that. Set that aside for a minute. Gas it. Quick spray down, the wipe down, just get all the crap off the net. So I'd already stuck some bristles up in here, inside the tube here, to make sure this was all cleaned, and obviously the float works just fine, because that's moving up and down freely like it should. So next I'll try and get that tub in place and screwed back on there, and we'll tire back on this enough to get it on the ground and let the fuel go down into it and give it a couple turns, see if she wants to fire up, or at least come close to something that resembles firing up. And I'd like to get my finger to warm up again here. This thing out of the way. This here. Okay. The other thing was there's an old gasket that goes around the screw that holds that tub up. I'm just going to give that a quick wipe down. Sorry about that. Potential spam if it isn't for them insurance companies calling you, or extended warranty companies calling you, or all that garbage. You never know. That one there's potential scam, so I can only imagine what it could have been. So, anyway, I got that gasket all wiped down. Now let's throw it right back on the bolt there where it goes. Set that aside for a quick second, and check this real quick. There's chunks of garbage on there. So, something different here. Here's like this gasket and then stretch just a bit. Yep. That's not good. Put that down in there enough to get on. Close to it. This will get pancaked in there enough, it might stay. Just show you one way to tell. They say she stretched a little bit, so find out if the hold or if I'm end up having to buy a complete rebuild kit and take this thing all the way out, I guess. Might get away with it. Looks like it might be okay. Stick that tire bag on there real quick so we can drop it down the ground. See what it does. Thing on there just. Oh, if I had. I saw it there. He's really had this problem. Either way, check them back off anyway, so we'll just set it down and see what it does. See if it leaks gas or tries to fire off or whatever. See, we can just pull that tire off later. Don't go anywhere and just tap it off. A couple pumps here. Fuel to it. Thanks. Good. Yeah, well, gas didn't leak out at least. Brake plugs hooked up again. Hopefully that takes care of that. He's still on. It's full choke. Sorry about that. I swear, some days you get 100 calls like that, and some days you don't get any at all. It's ridiculous. Anyway, choke's on. Everything seems to be moving freely, but we will see in a second when I hit the start what happens. Okay, so she runs, ish. Let's see if, what we got going on there. She's smoking a little bit, but I think that's just exhaust. Doesn't seem to, I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Might be just leaves and acorns and stuff like that burning off, or just crap on the exhaust. Really can't tell, but I'll try firing it up here again and playing with the throttle, providing I don't burn myself in the process. Play with the throttle down here a little bit and just see if I can even it out, keep it running for a minute, because like I say, this is messed up a little bit and it's not really doing much there. The spring underneath here, I'll show you that in a minute, pretty well had it, so I already had known that it wasn't doing anything when I pulled the covers off. I was playing with the levers to see what they do and everything, and like I say, I see it weren't moving anything, so I get some just regular springs, and probably just gonna try and set one down there and stretch it out to meet where I need to go. And, looks like a pretty straight shot, so I don't think it'll hang up on anything in there. So as long as I get one with a little more tension and stuff and stretch it out, I can snip it off at the end and bend it over and stuff with the needle nose. Just took off the gas line and make a new cable so that this will work again, because right at the moment it's just barely moving just a little bit. So let's say we'll try this again. Well, at least she runs now, but I want to stay running. Not really sure what's going on with that. he does run. Takes a little bit. Problem is like I say, because that throttle's not doing much of anything right now at the moment to hold her in place. I don't know if now that I moved it, I'll try starting that one more time, see if it stays or not. But because that ain't got any tension on that spring, that little thing I was just trying to show you on top of the carburetor, right where my finger is, when it's putting the fuel to it and the motor's turning, it's vibrating that thing, so it can't idle because it's choking itself out. And so, like I say, if that what I just did didn't fix it, then I'll have to put a spring to it to adjust it so I can get a higher RPM out of it to start throwing snow anyway. But like I say, we'll start that one more time real quick, just see what it does. Issue starts to come into it a little bit when it does move it just ever so slightly. Starts to come into it a little bit. You don't sound 100%, but Christ Almighty, it runs. So I'll give it that. I say we'll get this all put back together here a little bit. At least it runs now, and I think. Yeah, I think that's a shocker. So, at least it's got that going for it. It runs now. I may have to do something about these tires because they're both flat. I believe that one holds air and one doesn't. Either way, it's been sitting around so long that they're both going to be flat anyway. But I think it might be a valve stem problem or something like that along that line. And yeah, I get some more high test fuel for it, so it's running the good stuff in it, and it's already got fuel system cleaner in it. But once I put some high test in it, I might put just a touch more in there, just make sure it cleans it out, get rid of that rough idle maybe if I'm lucky. Not that it really matters. I mean, as long as it's been sitting, things usually hold up pretty good for quite a long time if they're a decent one to begin with. But I mean, to me, blower's been sitting around as long as this thing has, and everything else, it ain't much bigger than what you'd buy up to Walmart or something like that, and just a cheaper junk one that you see kicking around. And I'm actually kind of shocked it runs, because obviously, they say 8 or 10 years of kicking around doing nothing, and that bad gas they had in it there, it's pretty not as scummy looking as it was before, but you can see the chunks of crap falling in the thing there, and pretty black looking crap in that fuel. So hopefully that was educational in one way or another. And I believe for now, I think you gotta try and find a spring or something, see if we can tighten that throttle up just a hair. So I'll be right back in a minute. Okay, so what I did was figured I'd give it a shot, see how it works out before we go replacing a bunch of stuff, not knowing how well this thing's gonna hold up. It does have a slight gas leak if you tilt it up on side, which is no big shocker because it's overflowing the float and everything else, and dumping out the back side and next to where the fuel in line is. So I have to keep an eye on that. I'm not really worried about it because it doesn't seem to be leaking when it's upright like it's supposed to be. But what I did is took one of the springs underneath, looks like a regular compressed spring, and then off the end of it, it comes out straight like so. and at the end it's got a little hook that comes around and pulls on the throttle switch over here. So when you pull it, pulls that hook, yanks the spring back, puts tension on it, and moves that throttle. So I figured before I go making up a new spring and having to mess with both the throttle spring and return spring to make them match each other, because you don't want to have one more than the other or anything like that, then have it get stuck wide open or shut down and not be able to start it or anything like that, and then you get all the metal back on here in the way and middle of a snowstorm and you're down again. So what I did is I put the throttle all the way down, closed the carb up, and pulled that hook back a little bit on the straight part of the spring, and took a pair of the needle nose vice grips there and tweaked it up a little bit around, and we'll see if that does anything or not. We'll throw this back on here just in case we need it again, but we'll try fire this thing off again and see what it does with that, like so. Positive why that's floating like that. So here we are back, day 3. I had an important phone call I had to take the other day, so I had to shut down the video and take care of that, and then by the time I was done with that, it wasn't well worth recording anymore. But either way, she does run, which you saw before, but now it's developed a fuel leak because that gasket I had out around the bowl here stretched, so it's not sealing correctly, so it's dumping fuel. So it's probably going to need a carburetor rebuild anyway, but she does run. A little hard start. I don't know if it'll come into it or run some more. I might run it like this for a little bit if I get that fuel leak to slow down, or I might buy a rebuild kit or whatever. But she still kind of idles rough and whatnot, but I don't know. Everything works, so I don't know. I might update the video later once I figure out what I'm gonna do. I still gotta fix the tires. They don't hold air, either of them now. I thought it was just one, but now apparently both of them are flat. But she does, or should start right up. Or maybe not. Like I say, depending on how it does, I might run it like that for a little bit. As soon as it's running, it doesn't seem to be leaking fuel. It's just when it sits around. After it said, when I had it sitting here yesterday or day before, it was fine. It weren't leaking any fuel or anything else. But sitting here overnight, apparently it's feeding too much fuel into it and stuff. But as you see, the tires turn like they're supposed to, and it does kick the auger over and everything else. And under load, it doesn't really run that bad. Get a little bit of a jump in the idle at top end, but it's only low end when it's trying to idle that it kind of runs crappy. But me, I don't care. As long as it blows snow and does what it's supposed to do, it don't matter to me. So like I say, I might just throw a carb rebuild at it. Hard telling, but I'll just throw this all back together here real quick and stuff. And I ended up backing that spring off again because I found that even though the throttle lever here worked better, it was actually running it beyond wide open, like you're taking the governor off it, and it was over revving the motor, so that was kind of flooding it out. So I backed the spring back off, but might play with this throttle adjustment screw later if I need to or whatever. But for now, I'll just let it be what it is and figure out a way to get the tires to hold some air there. Might even go the cheap route and just put tire slime in it just for shits and giggles. Just because, well, pretty much junk anyway, so why not try and destroy it some more. And like I say, I'll go through the process real quick of putting this deal all back together here. I think I only just got them couple of plates and screws and stuff that I gotta go back together in here. But like I say, shocker, it runs, especially with all that gunk in the carburetor and whatnot. This thing here. Handful of crap here that holds this thing all together. See if I can find some extra tools there. Kind of go backwards through this because I didn't show the disassembly. But this is what's supposed to be the ignition key there to pull out and put back into install. Supposed to be ignition key you pull out, but it snapped off. Like I say, the thing been sitting around, so it deteriorated. But you just put it through right here. There's a screw that holds it in from the side there. So you're gonna have to do something with that carburetor. But you got a screw there. Then the choke adjustment goes here. There's a screw there. A couple screws here. One there. One there. And those will go there. And sorry, those ones there aren't in here. Those are actually the ones that the heat shield mounts to. And then the heat shield mounts there's two nuts right up over the back side of the exhaust that it hooks to. And that'll hold that all together. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than, like I say, you get a big nut here that holds a tire on there and stuff. But at the moment, I seem to have a more severe gas leak than I planned on, so probably gonna have to strip that all back apart again and take care of that gas leak one way or another. But for the time being, I'll leave it apart until I can figure out what I'm gonna do with it. So that's that. It does run. I say maybe you're smarter to buy a carburetor rebuild kit for it or something, but I say that gasket's pretty well beat to hell. Might even try putting some RTV to it or something. Not really sure. Unless I sprung a leak out of the gas line or something from where I put the vice grips to it. Not really sure at the moment. That could be too. So yeah, that's it. I guess it's semi-disappointment, but at the same time, at least it runs. So let me know what you think at the bottom, and yeah, maybe I'll come back on here and finish fixing this thing. But at the moment, it's not really a priority, since it wants to be a pain. So for now, I'll just let her go, and I'll play with it later.